What if that lesbian, Latina, wears a Playtex bra?
Never mind. As long as she's 55 years or older, I got her.
I won't ask in what context, but that's okay.
Funny, neither will I.
Okay, next up is Mike Stopa. He had been a congressional candidate for the 5th District, I believe it was, at the time, which is now transformed into the...
It was the 3rd, and now it's, and again in the 5th.
Now the 5th again. Oh, okay. And he's also a nuclear physicist out of Harvard. So, Mike Stopa.
I used to be very smart, but enough of these, and you find out that the synapses start going to sleep one after another, and when you get to the point when you can name every synapse that you have left, or count them on 2 hands, you know that you're sort of at your threshold of senility, which is about where I am right now. All right, so I ran for Congress in 2010 because I decided that it was a pity that our congressman in 2008 didn't have anybody at all to oppose him. I ran in 2013 to try and occupy the empty seat left behind by Ed Markey, and Naima and Pat were among the people who helped a tremendous amount at that time. And what we said at the time was that it's hard to believe that a seat can be any more empty than one with Ed Markey actually sitting in it. And so we found out that maybe it is more empty because we have Representative Clark there. So I just wanted to kind of, I wanted to just say 3 things, basically, and just make 3 kind of general comments. First of all, I want to say something about the Democratic message, and the Democratic message in this last election, and how difficult our job as conservatives is to counter that message. The second thing is I want to kind of take a poll of the room and find out where Tea Party people were on the night of the election and what you were doing. And, you know, no comment is an acceptable answer. And the third thing I want to do is say something about why I'm basically optimistic. So, I took my son a few days ago to Dairy Queen. We're doing that more often than really we should be.
Owned by Warren Buffett.
Owned by, yes, and indeed says so inside. It is the new one international. It's a great one, actually.
It is.
So we're sitting in the parking lot. We're sitting in the parking lot. And my son, who I don't indoctrinate my 4 children with politics very much at all. I sort of figure they're going to learn by example, you know, that the right is right and the left is crazy. But my son says to me, you know, that he had been under a misapprehension about the idea of equal pay for equal work. He said he thought that equal pay for equal work meant that it didn't matter what job you do, doctor, lawyer, Dairy Queen person, that everybody would get equal pay. And I said, Kip, it's not that bad yet. But he still is not quite clear as to what it meant. And I said, this has to do with men and women. I said, you know, that the Democratic talking point, or I didn't say that, but I said, you know, the idea is that people who are, men and women who are doing the same job will get an equal amount of pay. He says, that sounds like a good idea. I thought, you know...
Please tell me he's 4.
Well, he's 13. My son's 13. And he said, that sounds like a good idea. And I thought, geez, a lot of Democratic talking points sound like a good idea.
Why question 4?
Years old, right?
It's why question 4-1.
That's right. And I actually believe that. So we're driving back, and I explained to him. I said, I had a time he wasn't going to escape, and I said, okay, what's the problem? The problem is, if I want to hire somebody to do a job, then I want to pay them what they'll agree to. So if I want to hire somebody to rake leaves in my lawn, and I want to, you know, I look at them and I say, well, this person can rake more leaves, or this person can rake less leaves. All those sorts of decisions throughout the economy are the thing that you're suppressing if you all of a sudden put a bureaucracy in charge to make this overall rule. And I kind of gave the details of why you don't want to have, why equal pay for equal work doesn't work. it implies an authority who imposes that on the freedom of everyone. And by suppressing that freedom, you reduce the efficiency and you reduce the sort of the vital quality of the economy. That's a subtle idea. It's not very obvious, and it's much more easy to say, oh, gee, women do the same job as men, they should get the same amount of money. But I think there are a lot of things that have to do with a free market that, to actually explain them, you realize that there's more to it than what a 13-year-old is likely to consider on their first blush. So I wanted to go around the room and ask, and as I say, everybody, no comment is a perfectly acceptable answer, where you were on election night, and if you were supporting anybody, and how you felt. Can I start here?
Oh, sure. I was at home. To be totally honest, I was really active in politics from like 2008 through 12. Volunteered for Brown, Say, some other people, Baker the first time. And 2012 killed my spirit, especially to Say, to Lynn specifically. Lynn, the votes, all that. So I was checked out for 2 years. I didn't even read no more National Review, no more nothing.
Okay.
So I didn't volunteer for anybody. I felt really bad, and I told some people I would.
Okay.
My local state rep person, and I didn't. I was running for my state rep seat. So I wasn't even going to watch the news. I was just going to wake up in the morning. So we ordered Chinese, and I watched a movie with my husband. And then around 11, I just couldn't stand it anymore.
Would you rather stand up here?
I couldn't stand it anymore, and so I turned on my iPad, and I mean, I was rooting for a lot of people. Ironically, I had given
But you didn't work for anybody in particular.
No, I didn't work for anybody, but I was really rooting. Although I didn't give any money, and I felt bad about it. Mia Love and Ernst and some people like not in Mass because I didn't think anyone in Massachusetts would win. And so I just
They did okay.
checked out.
Yeah.
So, and I feel kind of guilty about that, but you know.
Oh, don't feel guilty. Let me ask
I need
you.
to refresh my spirit. So anyway, then I watched till stay up till 2 in the morning. This is MSNBC.
Okay. How about you?
I was watching at home. I went to bed when it was sort of looked like Martha Coakley was going to win. I was sort of depressed, and I actually said a little prayer. And,
Did you?
And I woke up and Baker had won, so I was really happy. And I just realized she showed her true colors when she went home and didn't address her people at all.
Right.
And that just summed her up. I mean, I already disliked her, but I hope the rest of the Massachusetts sort of sees what she's all about now.
Yeah.
So,
How about you, Michael?
I find election nights very stressful. I turn off all news sources, watch TV, like a movie or something, and
Did you work for any
go to
candidates?
bed early. I didn't. There were 2 reasons for that. One is my mind's been in the 11th century for the novel that I'm working on, and the other is that I just wasn't that enthusiastic about the candidates. Charlie Baker is wants to raise the minimum wage.
Yep.
I voted for him because he says he wants to repeal unspecified regulations, but my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I was at Baker's victory party. Went home early, and I stayed up till like 3 a.m. watching the election returns.
All right.
Same thing. I was at Baker.
You were Charlie. Yeah.
I was at Baker's headquarters until they closed the bars.
Like a good reason to go home.
No, it's later, but
So I thought that was early, but
Yeah. And honestly, I was.
Brad, that's what I expect you to be.
I was
at the bar at the Baker headquarters.
Thank you. Though I was I was ultimately a reluctant Baker supporter, and if we hadn't dropped out of a couple of other races we were involved with, I wouldn't have done as much work as we did in my ward.
How about you, Pat? Where were you?
Where was I?
Yeah.
Physically at Baker's party. Mentally, I was hoping I was going to be at Galt's Gulch. So.
I was at the Baker headquarters.
You were at the Baker headquarters too? Yeah.
yes. Well, see, we're the Boston contingent, so like for many of us, the Baker party was a tea right away. So we were all there, and I stayed relatively late. But I still didn't stay long enough to wait for Charlie to come out because of Martha Coakley refusing to concede. And like Brad, I did a little bit of work for Baker. Okay. Much less than I feel I should have. But again, I had limited enthusiasm. The one candidate in the state that I was somewhat enthusiastic lost his primary, and that was Mark Allegro in the 9th Congressional District. And so my two disappointments in this particular race is Scott Brown, and Scott turned out to be a better candidate than I had hoped, but it was mostly Jean Shaheen was such a horrible candidate. She is the mortal enemy of the Tea Party, as we all know now, and that we should have gotten a few more. My regret is I wish I worked for a state rep or a state senate race in this state, because that I was far more interested in than even the Baker campaign. And like this person here, I was certainly heavily demoralized by 12, but not as much as her, because I knew that it was going to get worse, and there was going to be blowback from it getting worse. I knew that Obama would convince a lot of people that they had made a mistake.
How about you, Naima?
Well, I was disengaged in this election as you know, just had moved back from New York after living there for a year. So when I came back, it was just in time for the election, and a good friend and I were arguing whether or not to vote for Charlie Baker or the Tea Party candidate, and someone had brought up this debate where Charlie Baker, instead of going after Coakley, I didn't watch the debate, but you guys probably know about it, went after the Tea Party candidate. And so we were like, well, no, you know, if we don't send a message...
Fortunately, I did not see that one.
But, you know, should we send a message and vote for conservative? Otherwise, we're always going to get these rhinos. Or do we vote for Charlie Baker? I voted for Charlie Baker. I don't think David did, my husband. So, but anyway, I was very disappointed by Scott Brown as well. But I also went to bed thinking that Coakley had won, and I was very happy when.
As a Republican, who's always been a Republican as well as a conservative, my one fear, because this is 25 years ago with Bill Weld, this is what happened, that Charlie will screw up the Republican Party. That's actually the single biggest bar for me supporting Baker, is that he will turn the state party apparatus into a creature of the governor, and he will no longer be any good for recruiting conservatives and getting them elected. But I don't necessarily think that will be the case.
Well, I have to just say that I wanted to be a Republican state again, but Coolidge was from Massachusetts, and Romney and Weld, so we had it before.
And this is a reason for us to continue to be involved in the Republican Party, because don't let the Baker supporters take it over. Okay, it's our party.
So.
I was at home. I did not volunteer this year. I was also just kind of burned out from politics. That being said, I really wanted to work for the Baker campaign, mostly because I just hate Martha Coakley's guts. And she genuinely scares me, and I'm so glad to see her go down.
Okay. All right.
I was at home. I didn't attend any parties. I watched the national television results, and they're so back and forth. I can only take so much of that. So.
But John did some work for the Baker people, and he also did some work for a Republican candidate in Dorchester.
Bob Capucci, the state senator.
And Bob Capucci, yeah.
I mean, that's not reported on the national stuff. I had enough of it. I have the Christmas attitude to it. The night before, there's nothing under the tree, and you wake up the next morning.
Yeah, I don't know. I also fell short in my civic responsibility. I was ensconced.
I wasn't trying to embarrass everybody.
I would have been a reluctant Baker supporter, but I'm really disheartened about the state of the electorate here anyway. So I wasn't holding. I thought it was a futile exercise.
I was also at the Baker campaign.
You were
left early for a little bit.
Well, I was all over the place. During the season, I had attended events for numerous candidates. Monica Medeiros, I was very much hoping she would prevail. I did a few standouts in places, and the final 3 days, I actually took Monday and Tuesday off, and I was in working for Brad Wyatt, which was a tragedy as far as I'm concerned. For those who are not familiar, he actually helped start the Worcester Tea Party. He's a Liberty person. He's been he helped Leah Cole with her first election time around. He went to Leah Cole events. I've gone to so many events over the last 6 months. It's Taunton, North Shore, Worcester, all over the place. But Brad Wyatt, I worked 3 days straight for him, and I was it was interesting. It was door knocking primarily, and we were getting a lot of positive feedback. I really thought, and then we did a standout in Clinton one night, and had a really good feel about it. But then the results just came in, and I was at his gathering, okay, Ryan Fatman won, yeah, good deal there, but Brad going down to defeat, that was a heartbreaker.
Was it the district? That was almost central Worcester, wasn't it?
No, Brad was Clinton, Boylston, Berlin, Part 1 precinct in Sterling, but it was not Worcester. His building where his business was in Worcester, but no, he's outside of Worcester. But the guy he was running against just was I guess they pulled some real dirty tricks there in the end. Northborough was the other area.
Oh.
Which I should not, of course, forget, because there's very exceptionally active Northborough Tea Party.
Yeah.
But I was there, and I just kind of hung out, and it was funny too, because one or two people showed up, and they were some of the purists who were talking about the lesser of two evils in reference to Baker, and I'm like going to myself, let's see, if you're trying to avoid the lesser of two evils debate, aren't you actually enabling the greater evil? I was thinking to myself, and I didn't say anything, but that was what was going through my head during the conversation. I too am exceptionally happy that Baker won. I'm sorry, Coakley would have been a disaster, and she, kind of like it was with the Brown race in 2012. I was exceptionally upset with Brown in a number of cases, but all I had to do was listen to Elizabeth Warren in my head.
You didn't feel that!
You just want to go, okay, devil versus non-devil. It's not a hard decision. So, there's not perfect choices in this state, absolutely, but there's still a lot of good people out there. Yes, I had to go find somebody that I was exceptionally enthusiastic about. Go for a ways. In my home district, there was actually a good man that was running. It was relatively close. I think I personally could have made a difference, but I was disheartened though. We only picked up 4 seats in our reps. 2 senators, that's good. It's a 50% increase, but well, 4 to 6. It's baby steps.
Yeah.